Hello everyone, it's time for Phys.Ed.School. Take your piece of equipment out on the floor and get ready to go to school. Before we begin, let's go over the rules of Phys.Ed.School. Number 1, work hard to get better. Number 2, be kind to others. And number 3, listen and do. And when you see this sign and hear this sound, it means it's time to stop and look for the next trick to do. Here we go. In Phys.Ed.School, a kindergarten student puts their arm out in front and then balances the noodle horizontally on one arm. After you balance it on one arm, try the other arm. In Phys.Ed.School, a first grade student puts the noodle on the floor and then jumps back and forth over the noodle, keeping both feet together. In Phys.Ed.School, a second grade student puts the noodle on the floor, and they stand on either side of the noodle, jump up in the air, and land with one foot on one side of the noodle and one foot on the other. In Phys.Ed.School, a third grade student puts the noodle on the floor and then hops back and forth over the noodle, trying not to touch it. After a little bit, switch and try it with the other foot. In Phys.Ed.School, a fourth grade student makes the letter U with their noodle. Then they make the letter C with their noodle. Then they make the letter O with their noodle, making sure the ends connect. Then they make the letter V with their noodle. Try to keep those lines straight. In Phys.Ed.School, a 5th grade student holds the end of their noodle and then jumps rope with their noodle. In Phys.Ed.School, a middle school student uses one finger to balance the noodle up and down. Up and down is also called vertically. Watch the top as you try this trick. In Phys.Ed.School, a high school student launches the noodle up in the air and then catches it as it comes back down to earth. In Phys.Ed.School, a college student puts the noodle on their head side to side, also called horizontally, and then tries to balance it as they walk around the gym. Now it's your turn to make up a trick. Use the equipment safely and make up a trick that you can show the rest of the class. Nice job, everyone. You graduated from Phys.Ed.School. Now, freeze!